Snipers, you have to see what's happening to the Bitcoin price this Monday as so much has developed over the last 24 hours as we've seen traditional markets open up. Today was an exciting day. Bitcoin this morning closing hourly and 4-hour candles below 34,788 before the bulls have rescued the price back above 36,500, and the traditional markets falling today and decoupling away from Bitcoin for a short amount of time. And then we saw a rally back to the upside with extreme oversold levels for ETFs like ARK's Innovation Fund sitting at its 200-week moving average for the first time since March of 2020. We have a lot to look at today, snipers. Remember to smash like one for the YouTube algorithm if you guys appreciate these quick updates. But first and foremost, we have to talk about the institutional volume that we have finally got on the 6-hour chart for Bitcoin. We have not seen volume of this magnitude since we came down below the $69,000 level. And this is institutional type of volume that compares to the type of sell pressure that we've recently seen. Why is this important? Well, if we look at what happened in June and July of 2021, we know when Bitcoin initially bottomed out here and we saw this rally after 28 and 29,000 US dollars were hit, it was because we saw institutional volume on the 6-hour chart, which we all know here on the Snipers channel is the institutional time frame that we all love to monitor here, because the 4-hour is very popular with traders. And realize this right now, Cathie Wood's ARK Invest Innovation Fund, the ETF, her most popular one, is sitting at its 200-week moving average for the first time since March of 2020, indicating that tech and innovation is oversold right now. And for those that really believe we're going to go back to pre-2020, when technology wasn't as prominent as it is now, in my opinion, that is a very bad mindset, because I believe the human race continues to advance. And now that we've gotten rid of the old, the new is coming in. And Bitcoin being a part of the tech sector, of course, Cathie Woods always talks about this, also potentially extremely oversold right now. And so the question is, have we seen a bottom for Bitcoin at 33,000 US dollars, exactly as we've been predicting here on the Snipers channel? For those that have been tuned in, if you're not already subscribed, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Well, why is 33,000 extremely important? Let's pull up this weekly chart. Notice how we have this parallel channel. We all know channels are extremely subjective, but the reason my channel is extremely important is because we took the two highs that Bitcoin has recently formed, and that is how we were able to look at this $33,000 level as a major support level, because of course we came down to this channel support once, we tested it, formed a new all-time high, and then we came back down, and you can see for the first time we are testing this channel support sitting right at 33,000 US dollars. Would it be valid for us to say here on the Snipers channel that 33,000 US dollars could have potentially been a bottom for Bitcoin? I think it's an extremely valid case. Now, there is something that I want to talk about here today that is something we're going to have to monitor as it develops, because this is actually really important, and that's what's happening to Ethereum and other altcoins, right? We're going to talk about that in just a sec, but let's cover Bitcoin's technical analysis, talk about the immediate short term, and then we'll cover the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin dominance, and the altcoins outside of Ethereum, because these are important charts that we're going to have to monitor here over the next week to 2 weeks, because we might be seeing Ethereum moving into Bitcoin right now. Maybe that's why we're seeing this rally. I'm going to talk about that. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Well, let's look at the Bitcoin price first and foremost. We talked about 34,788 yesterday being the most important support level for Bitcoin. And of course, the Trick, Trap, and Frustrate crew, they came in, they closed one 4-hour candle below 34,788. But for those that have been tuned into the Snipers channel for quite some time, you know we always like to monitor candle symmetry while we start to see these major support and resistance levels break. And notice how when we initially came down below 34,708, first and foremost, it was in the morning time when traditional markets were falling. And if you were watching the S&P 500, here's the most interesting thing that happened today, in my opinion. As we started to see the S&P 500 fall today, Bitcoin did follow a little bit, but then it decided to stop here at 33,000. But the S&P 500 continued to drop. Why is that important? Well, that tells us that we actually saw the S&P 500 for a little bit of time today decouple away from Bitcoin, even though everyone's saying, oh, traditional markets are extremely correlated to the Bitcoin price. Well, when it decouples, that's a huge puzzle piece, and that's what we saw today. It decoupled, and then the S&P 500 closed the day with a rally to the upside. We actually saw ARK Invest, Coinbase, all of these stocks, we'll actually pull up some of them, rally into the end of the close today. Notice how ARK Invest sitting at its 200-week moving average for the first time since March of 2020. This was the top performing ETF in 2020, and you can see for the first time we have come back down to this most important support level at the 200-week moving average. We all know here at the Cypress channel, when you reach the 200-week, that is an extremely good place to be dollar cost averaging long-term positions. Notice how Coinbase entering a free fall to new lows beyond its IPO price. And you can see at the end of the day, we saw a nice push back to the upside. If we actually just go into the 6-hour chart, notice how we saw all this institutional volume, not just for Bitcoin, but even Coinbase in traditional markets. Why is that important? Well, notice how right now, with the Bitcoin price, for the first time ever, we have seen institutional type of volume come in. In the past, that has indicated that we have bottomed out or we have been close to a bottom. And at this point, you can see if we were to start going to more micro timeframes, anytime we came below 34,788 towards 33,000, it looked like it was the institutional accumulation zone, because every time we came here, we saw spikes of volume or we saw really increased amounts of volume come in. This actually caused the 6-hour institutional volume to come in when we came below 34,788 for a more extended period of time as the S&P 500 started to come down. And then, of course, Bitcoin decoupled away. Is that why we ended up seeing a nice rally to the upside back above 36,500? Because maybe investors saw the decoupling effect there with the S&P 500. That's totally on the table. So now what's important to watch for Bitcoin? Well, as I've been saying, 38,000, major resistance level right now that could potentially confirm a bottom. If we're able to get hourly and 4-hour candles at this point above 38,000, we could potentially expect Bitcoin to have bottomed out in the short term or have at least found an area in which it could consolidate, move to the side for quite some time, stay above 34,788. This is the most important support, by the way. We have to stay above 34,780, but as long as we do, the next upside target, 38,000, that's the next major resistance. We get above that level, we start to open up the door to a very nice range with a resistance of 41,950. I know the bears want to keep selling the rips back to the upside, but at some point or another, they're going to get washed out and cleared out. A very interesting wick today on the Bitstamp exchange, by the way, all the way up to 38,000. If you guys want to go look at that, I'll actually just pull it up. This is a huge puzzle piece. We go to BTC USD, someone market bought on the Bitstamp exchange up to 38,000. Was that an institution? Look, that was a hint as to what price action we were going to see today. We saw this extremely bullish wick on a low volume exchange. Why do they do that? Well, maybe because there's just not enough Bitcoin on other exchanges for them to accumulate. Maybe institutions are looking at these exchanges that are not as popular, trying to take as much Bitcoin as possible at these low prices. Could that have been the case? Someone was willing to pay a premium on that wick today. That caused the market to continue further up into that direction. Do we have a bottom on our hands? We could potentially have one if you believe that we've bottomed out. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you've yet to do so. Remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Cypress, if you appreciate these quick updates. I certainly appreciate each and every one of you guys. And before we wrap up, I promised I would talk about Ethereum and some other altcoins. With Ethereum right now, notice how on the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, this is extremely important, Cypress. Really pay attention here. We have hit an extremely important support at 65,000 Satoshis. Now, this could indicate where the volume for Bitcoin came in, but this is not necessarily a bad thing so far. We have broke major market structural levels here for the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, but what I believe is important at this point is to monitor not just Ethereum to Bitcoin, but the Bitcoin dominance chart, because if we see 65,000 Satoshis get breached, this could be an indicator that we may be seeing some fear in the cryptocurrency market as to where the allocation of capital is going, And so that doesn't mean Bitcoin has to continue further down, but that could mean we could be seeing some sell-offs or some weakness in some altcoins if we start to see Bitcoin dominance move up. We see the Ethereum Bitcoin chart move below 65,000 Satoshis, and more importantly, the coin outside of Ethereum, the chart that factors in all of the altcoin market outside of stablecoins and Ethereum, that could also follow the Ethereum Bitcoin chart and start to sell off. The institutional capital, in my opinion, will go to the fundamentally sound coins. And so I'll give you an example, UST, which is, I believe, Terra's ecosystem and stablecoin. Every time we see demand increase for UST, what happens to Luna, right? They start burning Luna. Luna has been doing extremely well. What you'll see with a coin like Luna during this cycle that we're currently in is, even though Bitcoin did breach new lows today on the daily, altcoins that recently dipped with Bitcoin did not breach their daily lows. Like if you look at the CRO token, you look at Luna, some of them are already recovered 25, 30% from the downside that they've recently seen. What does that tell us? Fundamentally sound coins will always be the players in this market, regardless of whether it's altcoin season or not. But coins maybe like Dogecoin or some of these other coins that are starting to sell off pretty hard, they might not necessarily see the type of strength and capital that we'd see with more fundamentally sound coins. So stick to the fundamentals. For those in the Discord, we post tons of altcoin signals. And with that being said, our Bitcoin long position did hit target one. We took a nice long position. Our Ethereum position, we did have a stop loss at 2,200. Notice with Ethereum, we actually tested this support of this channel just like Bitcoin. And so could we say that we've bottomed out right now for the Ethereum and Bitcoin price? Well, we've certainly hit the max amount of downside that I would potentially expect in the immediate short term. And so we certainly could be having a bottom here on our hands. On the 6-hour chart, notice how we also saw more buy volume than we've ever seen here for Ethereum. We were predicting this just based on what we were seeing on the hourly chart recently. Remember, I talked about this rising sell pressure, but then the buy pressure was still stronger than the sell pressure. And that caused what happened today on the 6-hour, a nice push of institutional volume that we've been waiting for. And so for Ethereum, the major levels at this point, support is 1980 and resistance is 3454. This is such a large range for Ethereum that we could certainly expect a lot of volatility for something like Ethereum over the next few days. And so that's why I would be sticking to Bitcoin for now. I've been talking about dollar cost averaging positions into Bitcoin at these price levels. I certainly have been, and I think that it's certainly the play here with Bitcoin. 38,000 and 34,708, the most important range right now for Bitcoin. We move above 38,000. That's extremely bullish. We could potentially have a bottom here at this point. We may not see prices lower than 33,000. Isn't that crazy? We were talking about that $33,000 level as that potential bottom. And so far, it looks like that could have been the case. So with that, thank you all for tuning into the Sniper's channel today. I will update you tomorrow on what's happening to the altcoin markets. But today, we really got what we needed. Tomorrow's Turnaround Tuesday. So very interesting week ahead of us. I appreciate each and every one of you tuned into the channel. I couldn't do this without you. Remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, Snipers out.